Good morning, everyone. I'm going to give us a second to all get settled. There we go. Welcome, welcome. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to our TA Tuesday hours today. We have Tammy Hilberry with us from Job Ready, Illinois, to give us a wonderful presentation where if you guys have questions, you can throw those in the chat and then we will get to them towards the end of our time here today. But thank you all so much for being here. Tammy, I appreciate your time, and I'm just kind of gonna pass it on off to you and let you get started.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I'm excited to be here to share with you all about jobreadyillinois.com. I am Tammy Hilberry. I'm the program officer at Origami Works Foundation, and we are one of the organizations that partnered to bring Job Ready Illinois to fruition. I shared this is my first time doing one of these solo, and I do not purport to be an expert on the kind of SNAP requirements that we're going to be talking about, the reasoning for that. I was much more involved in the technical side with bringing the platform. But having said that, I do know plenty and I know people who know. So if there are any questions that I'm not able to answer, I will definitely be able to direct you in the right direction. So let's go ahead and get started here. So first, I'm going to just kind of walk you through some of these work requirements and why Job Ready Illinois came to be, and then talk a little bit about how the program works, and then give you some call to action next steps. Just to get us started, why are we even doing this? The work requirements for SNAP have changed with HR1, the big beautiful bill. There were a couple of key changes that are affecting Illinoisans. The first thing is that Illinois typically had a waiver for work requirements that was approved every year, and that is no longer approved. So now, because there are these requirements, the time limits did kick in for what they call ABODs. That stands for able-bodied adults without dependents. And the state is estimating that up to 200,000 people could be affected by some of these changes, and that will kind of kick in on May 1st, which is why we brought this together and launched it on April 1st as quickly as we possibly could. The work requirements are also stricter than they were previously, and there are several ways they've changed, but kind of the most notable ones is used to be under or over 54 were exempt. And that is no longer the case. It now goes up to 65. And there were some groups that were automatically exempt or no longer. And another thing that people have brought up to me that has been affecting the without dependents part. Dependents used to be classified as 18 and under, and it's now 14 and under. So that's one of the reasons there are so many folks that could be affected by this change. And because of this, this group, which is now expanded and no longer exempt, by the end of April does have to meet the work requirement and otherwise to stay on SNAP, or they will fall off. So Illinois put together kind of a three-part strategy to try to mitigate some of this, reduce some of the drop-offs. The first is to maximize exemptions, and they did put together a screener tool so folks can go through and answer some questions to try to see if there are some ways that they can get exempt. And then the second is to document and encourage this population, the ABODs, to meet their requirement through work, either paid or unpaid. So there are some ways that volunteer hours can be documented as these work hours, and that would qualify them to stay on their SNAP. And then the third way is to increase what they call qualifying work program enrollment, so job readiness programs. And so that's everything from, organizations that you're familiar with, the CARAs, folks that will help you gain skills and help you get a job, help you look for a job. Also, we thought for folks who are not necessarily concentrated in places like Cook County where there are an abundance of these programs available to them, an online resource might be a great tool for some folks. So that's where we came up with Job Ready Illinois. Okay, so qualifying work programs, that we have these guidelines set up, and the pre-existing state and local workforce programs, like I was talking about, they're added, so they're verified. So if folks are able to meet that 80 hour a month requirement through those programs, that's great. We're so happy. Job Ready Illinois is, we're trying to have it be a supplement. Some folks who may need just like a couple more hours, or if, for some folks, they're just not able to get into a program, or perhaps online learning really is a preferred method for them. They are able to qualify completely on Job Ready Illinois. It's on the approved list. So another great thing that we can do is reach statewide because it's online and there are kind of unlimited slots available. So we're not relying on local workforce programs to, have an abundance have 200,000 seats suddenly available for folks who might need that. But we could accommodate 200,000. So the idea originated with the state of Illinois. It was a DCEO IDHS partnership. And one thing that we wanted to do for sure, the ownership or kind of funding, we wanted it to separate it from agencies. So this is why it's kind of a public-private partnership. So some foundations, including Chicagoland Workforce Funder Alliance, and then our organization, Origami Works Foundation, we stepped up and, kind of put our money and manpower where our mouth was, and put this program together. There's another entity you might hear about, the Innovation Nexus. It's a really cool place. It's an existing entity where some of these digital solutions to workforce problems are already housed. A couple of things like Chicagoland Career Pathways, if you've ever heard of that, or Talent Solutions Connector. Both of those tools were built with Origami Works Foundation and CWFA and Cook County, other partners, built those things, and they are now housed at the Innovation Nexus, which is hosted at Forefront. So it's just kind of nice to keep our funding kind of as separate as possible. Just layers of assistance as we move forward, and kind of changing times. We're not really sure what's going to happen next. So just keeping that separate was important to the state. So on the next page, I'll show you what Job Ready Illinois looks like. But the idea was, we've got this one straightforward, simple navigation page, jobreadyillinois.com. It's got basic information about a lot of the things that I talked about here. With a participant-facing language, we've been pretty strict about using plain language and making it accessible. It includes links to the government pages that kind of explain what's going on, those exemption screeners, all that kind of stuff. And then it directs users to one of two platforms based on geography, and we're going to talk about that, kind of why that is later. But just so you can kind of see it, here's our very lovely, straightforward homepage. So as you can see, for folks who need to get online job training to maintain their SNAP, they click that button, very straightforward. There's a couple other resources there where they can learn more about it and learn about SNAP as well. So talked about there were two platforms. I'm just going to kind of walk you through the first one. We're kind of considering the main platform at this point. So it is a platform called Thinkific. And to be clear, most participants, it's not going to, we're not hiding that it's two different platforms, but it's also not something they're going to have to constantly think about. Like once you get signed up on a platform, it'll just be your Job Ready learning platform. And it's pretty straightforward in that way. So this is a custom content platform that was stood up by our team. And the content is presented in 20-hour units. So it's about 10 hours of learning, and then the remaining 10 hours is for independent job search, so they can record their independent job search. And the content is provided by local workforce partners. So that's being created kind of like as we go. then they can get a program certificate that will show either 20, 40, 60, or 80 hours of work. And then they'll get that certificate and they can upload it to their My Case or deliver it to FCRC. I do know the 3 units are live. The fourth unit might have already got up. I'm not 100% positive on that, but I think it actually has. I have not updated this. I don't work on the Thinkific platform, so I'm pretty sure all of their units are available. And then the idea is that it will continue to expand and grow as we go on. But as of now, folks should be able to meet that requirement. And as we said, hopefully folks are supplementing, because I do kind of think it would be a little miserable to sit on a computer for 80 hours doing job readiness training when you're wanting to do other things like live your life. But here we are. These are the times. So hopefully this is a good tool for some folks. Oh yes, and this is kind of just what it looks like, just so that you kind of see how it is. It's pretty straightforward. We've got some informational videos so folks can learn whatever they need to. And then the secondary platform, the metrics platform, that's the one that I was a little more involved in. Why did we decide to do 2 platforms? Simple. It was a risk management strategy. I believe we started working on this in February. So we had a very restricted timeline in which to stand up this platform. We knew we wanted it to be ready by April 1st to give folks as much time as possible to meet those requirements. And so we knew there was this great Thinkific platform where we could do custom training that's Illinois specific and highlights workforce programs that folks could say, oh, actually, I really liked learning about that, and I see that they're in my area. Let me go sign up with them directly. Lots of great advantages there. Having said that, we then had to deliver all that content in 1 month. There's this other site called Metrics, which is used in other places for this exact same thing, like the state of Pennsylvania uses Metrics, and it is preloaded. It has over 7,000 courses ready to go. So we decided to go ahead and try this dual path just in case there was a stumbling block on the way, and not to toot our own horns, but there weren't. Well, we have 2 platforms now, so great. What we're going to do with that is we're going to do some testing. We've divided folks up by geography just so that we could see which platform would be better overall. And I think that at some point we will probably shift just to the Thinkific platform. Some of the advantages being that it's customizable, it has unlimited spots. Origami Works is paying the metrics licenses, which are, not cheap, which is, fine. But I think if we can find a sustainable option on the Thinkific platform, we'll probably opt for that. But it's also helpful because it currently has multiple languages. I think almost everything is available in Spanish and Chinese. And then there are captions available in several other languages. So for folks who need another language, the metrics system is set up for that already. Whereas Thinkific is working on that for the future. But other than that, they're very similar. So here's that homepage. We've got it set up. Like I said, there's 7,000 courses. We set up like a start here, just so folks weren't overwhelmed, because you don't get credit for the time you're looking to take a course. You just get credit for the course that you're taking. So it's a good way to get started, some basic information. It's got general job readiness and skill tracks technology. It does have some certification. So like you can choose like, hey, I'm really interested in learning about this particular thing, and you can go through and get like a certification that you've learned about this, and including manufacturing. Like you can request a manufacturing track and it can give you some online learning that'll put you on the right path to enter into a manufacturing job. So that is my overview, and our call to action for you is, join us, spread the word. I mean, it is April 28th. And we've had plenty of folks sign up, not nearly 200,000. And so I do think probably May 1st, despite our best efforts to get the word out there as best we could, I think some folks are going to get kicked off and they're going to realize that they need to do something to get back on their SNAP benefits. And so I think we're going to have a little push at the beginning of May with folks realizing that, the rules have changed and they're going to have to do this in order to maintain their benefits. So if you work with anyone who is a SNAP participant that could benefit from this, or any organizations that you interface with that do the same, feel free to reach out to me. We've got a combination of some, we've got like some flyers that are getting printed out at American Job Centers, and we have some social media language that we can share. And we're also always happy to speak directly with any kind of partners who want to promote the tool or have any questions. So we're happy to send you information or answer any questions. We do have a dedicated email, partner@jobreadyillinois.com, for folks who have questions, about helping folks navigate, or anything like that. And we can also walk you through either of the tools if you're interested in that. Yeah, and so our next steps, the plan is we're going to continue to add content onto Thinkific, and we're going to eventually kind of review, analyze, which of these tools will we move forward with, and what's a better bet, and what are people getting the most value out of as well, and then the sustainability of it, making sure that we're keeping it alive and well. And I cannot speak to the state and Medicaid work requirements. I will leave that bullet point there. I know Matt knows a lot more about it than I do. Oh, I see Sheena. Hi, Sheena. Good to see you here. Great. So I think that's about it for me. So I talked quite a bit, and I'm happy to now answer any questions. And I actually might ask Sheena to help answer questions too, if she's.
Yes, Tammy.
Yeah.
And my apologies. I was out last week, so I didn't get a chance to let Tammy know that I would be able to join today. But if that's okay with you, Tammy, I had mentioned to English that I can go over some additional information on exemptions and things like that. And then absolutely we can pause for questions then if that works for you, Tammy.
This is like Christmas came early to me because you know all of the things that I don't know, and I'm so thrilled that you're here. Thank you so much.
No problem. And I just wanted to say, good morning to you all amongst our CEJA providers. Really happy to be here and connecting with you today in this way, and really hope to continue to expand our partnership. So I'm Sheena Pnor. I'm the Associate Director in the Office of Workforce Development here at the Illinois Department of Human Services. My office does SNAP employment and training, TANF employment and training, some other state workforce programs. We've also been really excited to work with, TAMI, Origami Work, Chicago Workforce Funder Alliance, and the partners that you see on the screen right now, Innovation Nexus as well, on Job Ready Illinois. And so let me share my slides. Oh, English, I just sent my request. And then I will share my slides and very quickly just give you some additional context on the work requirement, and also the exciting news around CEJA being approved as a qualifying work program for SNAP recipients to meet the work requirement. I am just trying to navigate to get this full screen. Sorry about that.
While you do that,
Okay.
I'm going to share a couple of links that I had kind of mentioned, and I think will probably work really well with what you're going to share today.
Perfect. So just for a little, and I told English to keep me posted on the time because we want to make sure to have a lot of time for Q&A. So I'll try to get through this in about 15 minutes so that we can make sure to get to your questions. So Tammy covered some of this, but basically our SNAP recipients who are ages 18 to 64 and who are identified as able-bodied adults without dependents, meaning they're subject to this time limit, will lose their eligibility for SNAP once they've received 3 full months of their SNAP benefits in the 3-year period without meeting the work requirement or qualifying for an exemption. But the important thing is Tammy mentioned that we want to make sure and SNAP recipients know, and all of our community stakeholders who work with our SNAP recipients, that they can regain eligibility. And how they can regain eligibility is if they later qualify for an exemption, or if they meet the work requirement by doing 80 hours of activities in 30 consecutive days. And so if they can show proof to their IDHS local office that they now qualify for an exemption, they've done 80 hours in 30 consecutive days of, for example, Job Ready Illinois, or of CEJA, or a combination of CEJA and Job Ready Illinois, they can provide that proof to IDHS and regain their eligibility for SNAP and continue to get SNAP benefits for as long as they continue to be exempt or meet the work requirement in that way. And as Tammy mentioned, because of HR 1 and changes that were made and Illinois no longer qualifying for a waiver, the time limit returned for us February 1st. So that means our SNAP recipients who got a full month of benefits in February, March, and now this month of April, they will be terminated effective May 1st. And we're concerned that this may be over 200,000 of our SNAP recipients who are at risk of losing their benefits on May 1st. And so right now we are trying to see how we can help those individuals meet through things like Job Ready Illinois. But just know for individuals who lose their benefits May 1st, they absolutely have that path to regain eligibility. And Job Ready Illinois is, again, one way that we're happy that we can offer statewide for individuals to regain. The other thing to know is our current 3-year period, it runs even when a state is under a waiver. So our 3-year period will actually end on December 31st of 2026. So January 1st, 2027, complete reset. All SNAP recipients, any months that they might have accrued are erased. Everyone has a clean slate starting January 1st, 2027. So as that approaches, we'll also make sure to get the word out that everybody would be eligible again January 1st, 2027. And this does coincide with when we are preparing for the Medicaid work requirement for ACA expansion adults to also take effect January 1st, 2027. So January 1st, it's a big date for all of us, knowing the Medicaid community engagement work requirement takes effect. And then we also have that reset for our SNAP individuals who are subject to the work requirement. And as Tammy said, we're working very closely with HFS. They're the state agency that administers Medicaid, so that everything we're trying to build and do for the SNAP work requirement will also work for our Medicaid ACA expansion adults. So for example, we're working to make sure that Job Ready Illinois can also work for that, and just clarifying the different verification rules and things like that. But we are working in partnership with HFS on that. And so I know that you'll be hearing more as we get closer to that implementation. So now the thing that we've been doing at IDHS, first and foremost, we want to make sure, again, all of our SNAP recipients and that all of you are aware of those exemption reasons, which would mean that someone does not have to meet the work requirement. A lot of these are systematically captured. So when someone applies for SNAP and at their renewal, their eligibility worker at IDHS will screen them. They will ask them about all of these exemptions. Some of these are captured on the application form. Some of these are captured through data matches in our system. And so they will go through all of these questions with that individual. But I'm going to highlight a few that are not captured, through a data match or something else that we really want to increase awareness about. But I'll speak to all of them quickly, but then really focus on the ones in the middle, because those are the ones that, when I've worked with other states in the country, those are the ones that tend to get missed. And so I'll spend more time there. But, so basically, if someone is under age 18, don't have to meet the work requirement. If someone's age 65 or older, they don't have to meet the work requirement. And that will be automatically captured by our system, because the worker will put in the ages of everybody in that SNAP household. If an individual is pregnant, they don't have to meet. If they have a child under age 14 in their SNAP household, they don't have to be related, but if they're purchasing and preparing food and that person is on their SNAP case, even if that person is ineligible, but they purchase and prepare that household, all of the adults would be exempt for that child under 14 in the home. Certain Native Americans. And then if someone's already working 30 hours a week, or they're earning $217.50 or more per week, which $935 a month, they would also be exempt. So here in Illinois, because our minimum wage is 15, even higher in the Chicago area, this might mean someone only has to do 15 hours a week at $15 an hour, and they could be exempt. So just know that this is also one that tends to be captured systematically when someone's reporting their income and work participation. Then just going to the bottom quickly. So if they're in TANF or they're receiving unemployment compensation, those would be identified in our system. They would be exempt. And if we qualified for a waiver, individuals would be exempt as well if we qualified for a waiver for any parts of our state, which unfortunately we do not, because of the unemployment rate set by HR 1. But so now focusing on the center part, the first two are about someone who's a caretaker. So if they are taking care of a child under age 6, whether or not they live in the home, so a grandparent who is 62 but taking care of grandkids, that person could be exempt, or someone who's providing care for someone who needs help taking care of themselves. So a family member, a sibling, someone that they're caretaking for. Just know that if someone is caretaking and this impedes their ability to get and keep a job of 80 hours or more per month, that would exempt them. So if they're not able to work 20 hours or more per week because of a physical or mental health reason, they could be exempt. And this could be something like, a mental health issue. They're struggling with substance abuse. They're experiencing homelessness. They are experiencing domestic violence. There is something going on in their life that makes it hard for them to both get a job of 20 or more hours per week, but also to maintain that job. That doesn't mean that that person isn't trying, that they're not, in a work program or trying to work, but just that this barrier makes it hard for them to kind of maintain that without support, and they can request an exemption and keep trying, doing their work or keep doing their work program participation, but not with that 3-month time limit hanging over them, given that those barriers that they're facing. So there's a lot of flexibility there. We just want to make sure everyone knows about. Also, if they're going to school, college, or training program at least half time, and the institution or program uses that half-time designation, that would actually be an exemption. And so for those of you who are CEJA providers, if your program works with a community college or another entity that uses that half-time designation, you can help them submit that request for exemption based on that school status. Also, if they're participating regularly in a drug or alcohol addiction treatment program, this is not sort of Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, but really more of an intensive drug or alcohol addiction treatment program, they would also be exempt. So again, just highlighting the ones in the middle, because sometimes individuals during their eligibility interview, they're being asked a lot of questions. They might not think to mention that they're caretaking, or they might not mention the mental health issue or other barrier that they're facing during that time. And those are ways that you can help them. And so customers, they can request an exemption at any time. They can contact their local FCRC. They can go in person, they can call. There's a request for exemption form. Customers don't have to provide proof. Generally, their verbal statement of their exemption will qualify them. If it is something where a worker does question, there are options for them to submit proof. But generally, if they're experiencing domestic violence or homelessness or like some of those barriers, that they can self-attest to those things. And I'll make sure we share the slides with more of these details. I do have some screenshots as well on like the notice people will get if they're subject to a work requirement. This is that request for exemption form with that list that I mentioned that people can check off and submit. And again, I'll share this so you have it. And this is, let's say the eligibility worker does ask that person for additional proof of their, mental health condition or something like that. This is a form that providers can help submit on that individual's behalf. Again, generally, client statement is fine, but this form is available for those if a provider needs to submit proof to help them. This is just the second part of that form. And then also in terms of meeting the work requirement, those individuals, if they're identified as an ABOD, they don't meet any of those reasons, they have to either work, participate in an approved work program operated or supervised by state or local government, or do self-initiated community service, or a combination of these things for 80 hours a month. And the reason that we say approved work program is that the federal law and the SNAP regulations do specifically define the kinds of work programs that individuals can participate in to meet the work requirement. So there are some that are explicitly identified in the law, and that's WIOA Title I, Trade Act programs, employment and training programs for veterans operated by DOL or Department of Veterans Affairs. So like in Illinois, the Job for Veterans State Grant Program under IDES. And then our SNAP employment and training program administered by IDHS through my office. So those are qualifying work programs. But in addition to that, we worked with the governor's office, and the governor approved some additional employment and training program standards that define, the types of activities that it's operated or supervised by state or local government. And through that pathway, we are approving additional work programs to help SNAP recipients to meet the work requirement, because we know that right now we don't have enough capacity in all of these top, these first four programs to meet that need for 200,000 plus individuals. So we recently approved JTED, which, as you know, is administered and overseen by DCO, and then you all in CEJA as well, that we have approved as a qualifying work program, and then Job Ready Illinois. So what Tammy just went through, that online job readiness program, we were able to approve that through the governor approved standards. We have additional programs that we're working with state and local government to approve, but very excited that you all in CEJA have been approved. We're working on a guide to help you all, with just understanding how to support SNAP recipients that you currently may be having as part of your programs, with providing that verification and meeting the work requirement through your program. And also we'll be working with you and Diana Fuller and some of the managers in terms of identifying additional capacity to serve SNAP recipients. We have been sharing the Energy Transition Navigator contact information on our website for individuals who want to call and see if they're appropriate for the program, there's available openings, where they're located, so that we can connect SNAP recipients to CEJA. So just wanted to let you know, and additional programs will be added to the list, and those will be updated on our website. Very quickly, in addition, this kind of just goes over the ways that we're looking at expanding volunteerism. We have a SNAP Outreach expansion program that is getting underway. We're also, again, looking for additional qualifying programs, and we are expanding our SNAP Employment and Training Program under our Intermediary National ABLE. I won't speak to Job Ready Illinois, but the other thing I'll mention is, if your agency or you outside of work know of agencies that might have volunteer opportunities for SNAP recipients to meet their 80 hours, we have a Galaxy Digital website platform where we are allowing organizations to sign up and add information about their volunteer opportunities. Individuals, SNAP recipients, can absolutely find their own. They can go to their local church or their local pantry, or, they can they can absolutely find their own, but this is just another resource to make it easier for those who need help finding one, to have everything in one place. So definitely encourage you all to think about any organizations that may be interested in adding their volunteer opportunities here to help our SNAP recipients, and we'll make sure to share this information where they can get the QR code to get more information. And then our SNAP Employment and Training program is expanding, as I said, and we will be sharing more information with you all about opportunities. The key thing is offering our allowable activities plus case management and supportive services, some of the programmatic fiscal record keeping requirements, but also a key thing is that there's non-federal funding sources that can be used on those allowable activities to support SNAP recipients. And or CDBG is also an option, because those non-federal funding sources and CDBG can be leveraged for federal 50% reimbursement of allowable expenses. And so CEJA, being funded through the revenue from those, I'm forgetting exactly the details, but I know that you all have, the way that your programs are funded, that there could be some opportunities for us to partner. We will be sharing more information and more details on the 50/50 reimbursement and how that all works, but just introducing that concept very quickly right now. And then I think Tammy shared the link to the Impact Center, where, again, you can find the list of exemptions, you can find those forms, you can find the list of these qualifying work programs, all there. So with that, I will stop sharing and turn it over for questions. And I do see Nicole's question in the chat. So, seeing that CEJA is now qualifying, what can we do for students who are deemed ineligible while attending our program and received a letter stating that our program was not approved? This just happened on Friday for a student of ours. Nicole, please send me an email. I'm going to put my email in the chat. I don't know, I took up. Okay. Yes, please email me that specific example. That would be very helpful. This is all new. This sort of qualifying work program path is new, and we are training our eligibility workers. But, we have thousands of workers, a lot of changes, that they're navigating at once. And so please don't hesitate to email me if you encounter situations like that, and I can work with our policy and field operations to look into it and troubleshoot. So thank you, Nicole. I'm sorry to hear that this challenge happened, but I want to work with you to see how we can resolve it, and that can also inform the information we can share with all of you in case others of you might experience that issue. Oh, I just realized I sent my email address only to English. Let me change that for everyone. Sorry about that. Any other questions for Tammy on Job Ready Illinois or anything that I shared?
There was another one that says, what documents, if any, will CEJA staff need to provide to confirm client participation and training?
Yes, great question. And so we were making some tweaks, but I will share with you my screen on this guide that we are going to be sharing with all of you. So again, giving you just a quick preview. So again, if you are partnering with a community college or other entity where, again, you use that half-time designation. In that case, the individual can submit that request for exemption form, and you could submit a documentation showing that they're enrolled half-time or more in your CEJA program. And that would work for that half-time designation. Now, if you don't use the half-time designation, we are suggesting that you prepare a letter, if possible on letterhead. It does not have to be on letterhead, but that just can help with the date, their name. We're recommending that it have the date of birth because that helps the IDHS local office staff connect the document to their SNAP case. So if you can add their date of birth, their contact information, so that again, if there's any trouble the workers having to find them or understand the information, that they can contact them, the number of hours they're participating in CEJA monthly, and then your contact information and signature, again, so that if they need to, they could contact you. And then we have like this example certification statement. So I certify that John Smith has enrolled in CEJA. And the important thing to know is workers will know CEJA. They're not necessarily going to know all of the individual provider names, but they would know the name CEJA because on our list we have CEJA or Job Ready Illinois. So the key thing is to include CEJA in your Climate and Equitable Jobs Act CEJA program on your verification, because then they refer to our list, they see CEJA's on there, and that helps them to know that it's one of those new approved programs, so that they're participating in CEJA and is participating for, X hours per month to meet the SNAP work requirement. CEJA is an approved qualifying work program for the SNAP work requirement, and they completed X number of hours in most recent month. So our workers are just looking to see how many hours they completed in the most recent month. So they did 80 hours in April, or they did 80 hours in March, for example. And I'm also going to show, we have a template where there's co-enrollment with Job Ready Illinois. That was something DCO mentioned to us, that sometimes the way CEJA or JTED are designed, you might have some weeks where they're doing, 20 hours a week, but you might have periods in between where it's less and they're doing, all job search or things like that. And so we also wanted to provide a template where if you co-enroll them with Job Ready Illinois, and also to note, they would provide this verification once they start meeting. So upfront, once they're enrolled and participating, they've done their first 80 hours, and then at their renewal. So you don't have to verify it month to month, but that's where, if your program does have a lot of fluctuations in hours and some weeks they might not be fully engaged in your program, that's where we wanted to recommend in partnership with DCO, that you consider working with that individual to co-enroll in Job Ready Illinois, so that they can do the number of hours in Job Ready to supplement what they're doing in your program. So let's say 1 month they're only doing 40 hours in CEJA, they could do 20 hours in Job Ready Illinois, right? Or if 1 month they're doing only 10 hours in your program, they can supplement the rest with Job Ready Illinois. It's not that they have to do 80 hours in both, but that Job Ready is flexible because it's online. They can choose how many hours that really would supplement any with when there's fluctuations in your program to get them up to 80. And so we have, again, sort of a template here. We don't require this again, but this is the kind of information that's helpful. And here it's, I certify that, so, the individual has enrolled in CEJA and Job Ready Illinois and is participating for 80 hours per month to meet the SNAP work requirement. CEJA and Job Ready Illinois are approved qualifying work programs for the SNAP work requirement. And the individual completed 80 hours in most recent month, and then you would sign and date it. So this is an example of the verification letter that we are submitting. And so I see questions in the chat. Sorry, go ahead.
There was going to be a follow-up question that
Sure.
does this letter need to be provided after they have completed said training or work experience, or can this be something that is from before they do it and it's just like scheduled or planned or committed to doing it in the future?
Yeah. So we do want, right now, we are looking to see that they've at least done their first month. And so that's where we're recommending that here that you would say, they completed 80 hours in most recent month, except that both they're in this program, they're participating in this on an ongoing basis, and that you're verifying that like in the most recent month, and you can go back. So if they were in your program in February or March or April, you can go back and said, they did 80 hours in February or they did 80 hours in March and they're, and that they're ongoing. So English, if that answers your question, they do want to see after the person has actually done their first month of 80, but then they will prospect forward. They will project out that the person will continue to meet until their renewal and then ask again at renewal if they're still in that program. And the renewal period is about 6 months.
Yes, that's perfect. Thank you.
And then let me see in the chat what documents, if any, will CEJA staff need to provide to confirm client participation in training? Can they submit their CEJA commitment letter? So again, at this time, because the commitment letter is probably what English was speaking to, where it shows their intent to participate, we do want to have something that attests that they did complete 80 hours in a whatever most recent month. So so I think Elsie, this letter from CEJA can be provided after they complete or start their training, not before they're scheduled to begin their training. Correct. That is correct. Right now, we do want the proof that they did their first month in order to project out that they're going to continue to meet. And I'm not familiar with your commitment letter, but I'm assuming that might be more about planned hours. But planned hours is what you can use. Like we have some examples here on the kind of hours, what hours count. So the classroom instruction, structured training, occupational training, career development, work-based learning. The other thing to know is any of the offsite preparation. So if they're doing homework, they're doing skills practice, they're preparing outside of the classroom, you can absolutely consider those as part of that participation in your program. Also, if they're doing any independent job search activities in your program, as long as it's less than half of your total program time. So if they're doing 80 hours of your program and 39 hours or less, they might be doing some independent job search. That's totally fine. It just has to be less than half the program time as a whole, or Job Ready Illinois activities, as I said. So if your program by design is going to be 80 hours a month, when you consider the offsite prep and any independent job search that they're doing, you can absolutely submit just for CEJA. If again, you think that it's going to fluctuate in like a 6-month period, and you want to co-enroll them in Job Ready Illinois, that's just also an option that you have. But if your program alone can meet it with the planned hours, that's fine. Any other questions about this or Job Ready, Illinois.
This one wasn't in the chat, but just for clarification from my side, when you are doing, say, 80 hours, you have to have the 41 and then 39. Is that job search and like external homework or skill building combined or just job search?
Just the job search. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. Yes.
Thank you for clarifying. I just want to double check.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yes.
Are there any other questions? You can put those in the chat. Nicole said this has been so helpful. Thank you. And completely agree that I've learned a lot about SNAP over the last few months, but this was so informational and all of the details. So thank you so much for both coming on.
Thank you. Um, let's see. Okay. Thanks, Rebecca. I'm glad it was helpful. Also, do you all currently have a sense of how many people in your programs may be on SNAP? I'm just curious, is that something you or even Medicaid, is that something you already might be gauging as part of intake? Just helpful to know as we're getting to know the different programs.
And while people are typing that in the chat, there was actually a question from Lindsay that they stepped away for a second. Where can we find the copy of the letter that you reviewed, or when is that going to come out?
Yes, absolutely. We are working to get that to you all as soon as possible. We made some updates again based on DCO's helpful feedback around having that example of that co-enrollment with Job Ready Illinois. So I just want to run it by DCEO, make sure they're good with it, and then we will get it out to you. So I'm really hoping in the next, today or tomorrow that we can get that for you all. If you want, though, I can put in the chat. The formatting won't work very well. I can at least, I will add a slide English to my PowerPoint with this information in it around specifically the verification, just so that that can come out to you today. But then as soon as, we just get the green light from DCO, we'll send you the full guide that I shared.
Perfect. That would be awesome. Thank you. Any other questions that we have today? We still have about 12 more minutes. Is this presentation available to CEJA barrier navigators? From Lynn Kostick.
That's a great question. Barrier navigators the same as the transition navigators, or is that another role that you all have with CEJA? I don't know, Lynn, if you're able to come off mute, because we can check with English or Diana Fuller and see if that might make sense for us to present also to that group.
I don't believe, no, I believe I'm terming it wrong. It's just those individuals in the seizure program that are handling the barriers of those individuals in the program. So I probably should have put barrier/navigators, because this is a lot of information and it's valuable information that we can provide when we are recruiting and signing people up for the program.
I see. Yes. And especially because we're sharing the navigator contact information with our SNAP recipients as well. Yeah, that is that's great feedback, because do those individuals generally, this call is more for the programmatic side and less for those navigators. Is that right, Lynn?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, got it. So thank you for highlighting that, because I thought perhaps it was all together. So that's really good to know. We can follow up with Diane. I hope, is it Diana or Diane? I think
Diana.
it is Diana. Okay, thank you. I'll follow up with Diana and see if we could do something specifically for that group. I think that's a great idea.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And I see a hand up, and then after that, we'll have a question in the chat. So Pamela, if you wanted to come off mute to ask your question.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much for this informative presentation. Very helpful. I'm Pamela Felder Small. representing Imani Works Green Grace Initiative. And I work on the wraparound services team. The availability of any kind of resources that we can share with our participants and also with our team members, quite frankly, would be very helpful. There was mention of social media flyers that are available for a campaign. Could you let us know where we can find those resources? We'd like to share them via email with our community partners and also with our fellow team members. Thank you.
Sure, I'll make sure I get those communication materials over, then they can go out with the slides and everything.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
And there was another question in the chat, Abram. Is there anyone you can share on, or any more you can share on the 50/50 program and how CEJA providers should consider collaborating?
Thank you for that question, Abram. Yeah, so we are going to be working with our intermediary, National Able, to do some presentations for, JTED, for you all in CEJA, for other programs that we know have those non-federal funding sources to look at those opportunities to help your dollars go further with that federal 50/50 reimbursement. So look out for an invitation soon. Through the intermediary, generally for SNAP employment training, we have a notice of funding opportunity process, but through our intermediary, when providers work with them and they have, the right mix of the funding, they serve the participants, the activities, case management, all of those things, they can come on at any time once they're working with National Able and go through those approvals. So there's a lot of flexibility in terms of timing for coming on board. And so we are working on putting together a presentation to share with partners. So definitely can make sure that that is circulated amongst all of you who operate CEJA. And I know some of you we do have on our SNAP ENT program. So I don't know if Circo is on, but Circo is also already one of our SNAP ENT program providers. But we could look at ways to incorporate CEJA as well. So.
Perfect. Thank you. And Teresa Richard also let us know in the chat that some navigators are on this call and that all CEJA navigators should have access to this video archived after, which is good to know, but still could be helpful to check in and double check on that. Any other questions? We still have a little bit more time if you guys have anything else. If not, it looks like we can start to wrap up a little bit early. Those last 5 minutes, we can give back that time. Thank you again all so much for being here. If you do need this video, these slides, remember that those will be shared with all of you. And so either reach out to our two lovely presenters today, go into those details, you have their emails. Is there anything that you guys kind of want to close out for today before we leave?
Just we're so happy to have feedback. If you notice anything that's not working, please don't hesitate to reach out. We are building this. We built this plane while it was flying, and we're so proud of the work that we've done, and also are thrilled to share it with folks who have experience and can really help us make this a great tool for as many people as possible. So please don't hesitate to reach out with comments, concerns, or anything like that.
And I echo exactly what Tammy shared, that again, your feedback will make all of this more streamlined for our SNAP recipients. And so even when we send out the guide, definitely welcome your feedback on that. Nicole, I did not get your email yet, so just want to make sure. But like as Nicole is doing, if you encounter any issues because this is new on the eligibility side, again, please let me know. And huge thank you to Tammy and all of those who under very tight time frame had this goal of, giving this flexible option to our SNAP recipients. And so huge thank you to Tammy and her foundation and the team that pulled together Job Ready Illinois as well. And again, thank you to you all for the great work that you're doing in the clean energy field and helping our SNAP recipients. So thank you so much, and really so grateful for our partnership and collaboration.
Yes, thank you all, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your Tuesday. Again, reminder, this video will be out there for you, as well as all of those wonderful resources. Lovely presentations. Have a wonderful rest of your evening.
Thank you.
Or day. It's still morning. Wow.
Feels that way.
I started early this morning, so it feels like it should be afternoon.
I feel you. Well, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
And Sheena, oh my God, thank you so much.
Oh, no problem.
I said at the beginning, I was like, I'm not an expert, but I know people that I can direct you to. And then you just appeared. It was amazing. Thank you.
It was the joy on your face.
Yeah,
You know.
Yeah. I can talk about platforms all day, but I learned some things about Snap while I was on this call. So that's great. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah, happy to be here. And yes, glad I was at least a surprise guest. Sorry that
No,
didn't let you know ahead of time.
I was thrilled, always thrilled to see you. So
it was lovely. All right. Have a nice day, everyone.
thanks, you too.
Bye. Thank you.